who can be a whistleblower? Who is the individual? Well, it can be a nurse that has knowledge, either in a hospital setting, private practice setting, nursing home setting, rehab facility setting, has personal knowledge that the facility is billing for services that were not provided or were not needed, or billing those at a rate that was not proper. It can be the actual people who code. Medical coding is a specialty these days, and it's very complicated. And those medical coders look to the patient's chart and they translate that into a numerical code that is used by Medicare, Medicaid, for example, in reimbursing that facility. So that coder can be pushed one way or the other to code things in a more expensive category than a less expensive category. And so there can be fraud there. Administrators can be involved in this. They can be whistleblowers. Doctors who work in hospitals can be whistleblower, medical technicians, and even the patients. If patients get bills and they say, hey, I didn't have that service, and yet they billed Medicare, they billed Medicaid for that, that's fraud. And that is basically taking the government's money and putting it in the hands, wrongfully putting it in the hands of providers that didn't earn it and they don't deserve it. And there's a whistleblower remedy, a claim that can be made on their behalf. Bo, who else could be a whistleblower in your experience?
Really, anyone who has knowledge, specific knowledge, actionable knowledge of fraud involving government funds can be a whistleblower. They don't even have to work at the defendant or employer to serve as a whistleblower, so long as that they have some actionable personal knowledge of fraud that's occurring. Other types of common areas for whistleblower claims, particularly in our part of Virginia, in the western part of the state, there are a great number of universities, colleges, research institutions, and that would be college and medical research fraud. Common types of college fraud would be when college recruiters are paid incentives to sign up or enroll a number of students. Can't do that under the law. Another would be obtaining student loan funds for students who aren't eligible. You could also have misrepresentations in terms of job placement rates on graduation, income on graduation, anything that is fraudulently marketing the services or the returns that you would get from attaining a college or higher university. That could be the subject of fraud because, of course, again, the government fund in this case would be student loans that are provided by the government. The other big one is in research fraud. Every year, the federal government loans something around $500 billion to research institutions for research and development. It's an area where you see an awful lot of fraud. It could be that they are misrepresenting in their grant applications what the study will actually be, falsification of documents, misrepresenting the results of the study. And that has happened at a number of research institutions in the western part of Virginia and the mid-Atlantic, even in the past 5 or 10 years. And the last big area of fraud that we commonly see in our part of the state, in Western Virginia, that would involve government contracting fraud. So that could be for military procurement, whether that is military equipment or clothing, anything that's involving the government paying for it for the military, that could be a subject of fraud. And then also highways and roads. The government doesn't actually build the highways or roads themselves. They contract with independent parties who put forth bids. There's a selection process and there's a plan in place. Well, anytime there is fraud in that process, that could also be the subject of a whistleblower claim. So big picture, that's what a whistleblower is under the law. These are the common areas of whistleblower claims that we see in our part of the state. And we would encourage you that if you have any suspicion to believe of a potential whistleblower claim, that you reach out to the attorneys at Frith and Ellerman, and we're more than happy to look into your claim and see if it's viable and represent you if necessary, should we reach a determination that a lawsuit could be filed.
Thank you.